Hello and welcome to another lawn fawn video. Today we're taking a look at the new Garden Snail paper piecing style die, as well as the new Happy Potted Flower paper piecing style die. So let's take a closer look at these two new dies. We are going to start by cutting out the solid piece of the Happy Potted Flower from some black cardstock with some double-sided adhesive sheet on it. Then we will cut out the outline piece of the flower from black, so we have a black outline. And then we will cut the other items with the other dies. Now this die set has some little individual pieces to help you cut the face, the leaves, the little petals, and the stem without having to cut the entire flower each time. We're going to pull off that liner paper from our adhesive sheet on that black cardstock and start to assemble this flower. So we're adding our outline that is cut from some black cardstock. And then we can choose if we want to use the overall flower that has a smiley face for the center or the solid center that comes in this set. For this one, we are going to use that cute little smiley face center for the flower. Next up, we will add the little stem and the leaves, and to cut these, we use the dies that are in this set individually rather than cutting that whole flower. Now we can add some orange for the pot. And then finally we can add the petals. So you have an option of cutting all the petals out of one color using the overall flower die, or there is a die in this set that cuts two little individual petals. This would be great if you wanted to do a rainbow of petals and you didn't want to cut the entire flower each time. So I like that there are some options for this die. These petals match the openings perfectly and fit right inside that frame. And finally, once we have all of our cute little petals in there, we can add in the little die cut pieces to fill in the face of this flower. We're just using black cardstock for this, where we cut out that black frame. And then of course, we can't forget those cute little pink cheeks to add some little cheeks to our cute happy potted flower. And how cute is that? Next, let's take a look at the Garden Snail die set. We're using some different shades of brown to cut our snail from. We will cut the solid piece as well as the outline from these shades of cardstock. We also have this really fun grass die as part of this die set that we will cut from two shades of green. And then we're using some pink shades for the little hearts that come in this set. So in this die set, we have the solid snail, we have the outline snail, which we've cut from different colors, we have the grass with a solid and an outline, and then we also have these little hearts. Each of these hearts has a solid and an outline as well, and then of course there's the little cute pink cheeks. So for this one, we're adding adhesive all over that solid piece, and then we will start to assemble our snail. First, we will start with that outline piece. This is cut from some kraft cardstock. Next, we will add our vanilla malt cardstock for the body of the snail. Then we will use this darker textured canvas cardstock for the shell of the snail. And then of course we have that really dark textured canvas cardstock for the face. You could also take a piece of cardstock and color these little pieces to get a darker face if you wanted, which I will show you that on a card that I create later in this video. Then of course we have our grass that we want to assemble up here. We're going to add some adhesive runner all over that solid piece of grass, and then we've cut the outline from two different shades. So we're using that darker shade for the outline piece, and then we will fill it in with that lighter shade of green. These, of course, are from the textured canvas cardstock pack in green. And we can't forget that little tiny piece at the top of the grass. Now for the little hearts in this set, there are solid hearts and there are outline hearts, and these happen to be the same size so that you can layer them together. So you can have the outline and then the inside a different color if you like. So here we have these two hearts with an outline cut from some guava cardstock, and then we are filling these in with some ballet slipper cardstock for these two cute little hearts. And then we can't forget our cute little pink cheeks for our snail. How adorable is this cute little snail with those pink cheeks? And I just think that this grass is so much fun and can be used in so many different ways. Layering it with a snail, using it with mushrooms, which you'll see here later, and it can be used in any kind of spring card. Let's make some projects with these die cut images. First, we're using that happy potted flower that we created at the beginning of the video, and we're pulling out some pattern papers from the Rainbow Ever After paper collection. We have that beautiful rainbow stripe as well as that ombre paper. We're going to cut that stripe paper with a stitched rectangle and also cut a rectangular stitch frame from white. And this will layer in the center. We're adding some foam adhesive strips to the back of our white frame, and we'll layer this on top of that ombre piece of pattern paper. And once we pick this up and flip it over, you can see we get this really cool ombre framed piece where our little flower is going to go. We're adding some adhesive all over the back, and we'll just pop this into that frame with that beautiful gradient in the background. Now we can take that whole frame and add adhesive to the back and pop this right onto our rainbow stripe paper, and I just think that that is a really fun look with those stripes in the background. Next we have Henry's Build a Sentiment stamp set, and we are pulling out the stamps to build the sentiment that says sending smiles and sunshine. We are going to stamp this onto a wavy banner on white cardstock, and so we're using our banner die as a guide to line up our stamps. So we kind of put those in there, and then we can flip it over and just make a few more adjustments to make sure that these stamps are curved to go into that wavy banner perfectly. We're stamping this in some black ink on white cardstock, and now we can line up our banner, hold this in place with a little bit of low tack tape, and run it through our die cut machine. Next, we can add this to our card using some foam squares, and I love how the sentiment crosses over our cute little flower pot. It looks like the flower is growing out of the sentiment. I also love that the sentiment banner overlaps that beautiful white frame that frames up this cute little flower. Finally, we need to add all of this to a card base, so we're ready to write a sentiment inside and send this to a friend. I just love the clean and simple look of this fun card. Next up, we're going to recreate some beautiful tags that Audrey created. For this happy potted flower, we're going to cut the frame from white cardstock for a different look. We've also cut that solid flower from white cardstock as well. Then we're going to use the other dies in this set to cut out our pieces. So of course we're going to cut our leaves and our stem from some green. We have some guava that we'll cut that whole flower from for the pot. And then we're also pulling out some fruit salad paper, and we're going to cut this flower from some yellow gingham. And this was a really fun look on Audrey's project to have that gingham inside the flower. We've covered the solid piece with some adhesive, and now we can add our flower frame, and this is all from white. Next up, we will add those little leaves from the green. And it's really nice to have these as separate dies so you're not cutting the whole flower out of green every time. Now we have our little pot cut from some guava cardstock. And then here is where we can add this fun little gingham face to our flower, and I just think that is such a cute look. We also cut that flower face from some black cardstock so that we have some eyes and a mouth to add. Now for our petals, instead of cutting all of these from different colors of cardstock, we're going to pull out our Copic markers and color them in. So we're using that white cardstock that we cut our frame from. We just have this stuck down to a sticky note that has sticky on the whole post-it note. And we're just adding our Copic colors to this with some dark colors towards the center of the flower and then blending out with some lighter colors to give it nice, beautiful shading. This is a really fun way to kind of add lots of colors to your project without having to do a lot of die cutting. This is also a really great way to customize the colors of your flower to match your project perfectly. So as we work our way around, we are going to start to repeat the colors so that we have more than one petal of each color. So you can see we've made it around and we are coloring this next one with yellow, which is where we started. So we will have 2 petals of each color around our cute little flower. Now, just because we are using lots of different colors on our flower today, you could still use this really fun coloring technique and color all of the petals the same colors just to get that really fun shading. And now that we're all done with our coloring, we can start to pop these off and put them into place. I also like that the full sticky note holds all our pieces so they're easy to remember where they go. I love seeing this little flower come to life as we add these beautiful colored petals all around. And I also love how the white frame really gives this flower a different look from the flower that we created earlier in the video. How cute is this little guy? Next, we're going to use the Stitch Circle tag die and cut some of the 12 by 12 fruit salad paper so we have that beautiful gingham for our tag. And this cute little flower is going to layer perfectly on the circle. Let's add some little rosy cheeks to our pattern paper before we get too far. And then we will add this little flower with some foam. Those foam strips are perfect to support that stem up the center, and then of course we have our foam squares. And this is going to layer right over that little hole at the top. So our twine will get threaded through that little hole and it's going to come out from behind the flower's head, which is a really fun look. It's kind of hidden back there. To make the green cardstock leaves match the shading of the flower a little bit, we're just adding a little bit of Copic marker shading right at the stem. And now we can pull out Henry's Build a Sentiment to spell out the sentiment that just says sending sunshine. And this is a perfect sentiment to go with this cute little flower. We're going to stamp this on some white cardstock. And then we will use one of our sentiment banner dies to cut this out. Now we want to make a slightly shorter banner, so we're going to die cut this with the sentiment towards the left, pull it off and shift it over, and then we will run this through the die cut machine again so that we create a custom length little banner for our cute little sentiment just by trimming off that end. Then we can add some adhesive to the back and layer this onto the pot below our cute little happy plant. Finally, let's add some embellishments using the hearts from the Hearts and Stars Skinny Tag Die. These are the perfect little embellishments for any project. We are going to cut these little hearts out of some guava cardstock, and we're going to get a little pile of hearts in 3 different sizes. We'll just add a little bit of adhesive to the back of these and pop them right onto the tag, and I think this is the perfect finishing touch to this little tag. Now let's add some white gel pen details just to the little hearts. And then, of course, everything is better with a little bit of glitter. So we're going to add some glitter to the petals of the flower, just adding that close to the base near the face and kind of feathering it out towards the outside. And I just love that shimmer and shine that the glitter creates on this cute little happy flower. And here is this finished tag that is inspired by the tags Audrey created. So thank you so much, Audrey, for letting us remake that today. Now we're going to make a card that is inspired by a card by Yainea. And we are using our garden snail in those brown tones just like we did earlier. But I'm going to add a little bit of shading with a marker to the body of the snail as well as the shell. And this is where I just colored the face with a really dark brown rather than cutting it out of another shade of brown cardstock. And that is a really easy way to just kind of make that nice dark face, but you don't have to cut a whole snail to get it. I've added some adhesive all over the solid snail cut from some kraft cardstock, and I'm just popping out the pieces from the frame and I'll add that kraft frame. Now I can pull out that body that I shaded with my Copic marker. I'll get this nice dark brown shell that I also added Copic marker to. And then finally I can take that face and I like to kind of line it up if it's stuck in there and just pop the pieces right into place. I'm also going to add some little rosy cheeks, but you could do this with the little cheek die as well. Now, she added some really fun Copic details to her grass. So I went ahead and did that, and she actually kept the frame and the grass inside the same. So you get the fun detail of the die, but you don't have different colors of cardstock. And then I am also going to add a little bit of shadow at the bottom of this mushroom cap. I have cut this from some barn red cardstock, and then I will go ahead and assemble my mushroom. This is the large mushroom from the Happy Mushrooms die set. I cut the background for the little spots from white cardstock, and then I cut this stem from vanilla malt, and I'm just adding some Copic marker details to the edge of it as well. Now for the background, I am going to pull out some pattern paper from the Stripes and Sprinkles Petite paper pack. We're going to use this yellow with those little dots. And I've also pulled out one of the greens from the textured cardstock green pack. I've cut both of these with the largest of the outside in stitch rectangles. And for the green, I'm actually using the smooth side of the cardstock instead of the textured side. I'm cutting a little hill with the grassy hillsides, and then I'm adding some Copic grass with a Copic marker. This was a really fun detail that Yaine did, which I've actually never thought about doing, and you're basically making your own pattern paper for the grass. Then I can layer this grass along the bottom of that pattern paper panel from the Stripes and Sprinkles Petite paper pack. I have a card base that I created from some sage cardstock, and I will just add this entire panel to that card base, and we get that beautiful sage frame around our pattern paper. Now I can assemble all of my little images. So I have a solid piece of grass that I did not color on, and I will layer this die cut piece of grass with the coloring over top. This gives it some nice depth. It looks like a lot of grass kind of piled up against each other. And this is also going to give me a place to kind of tuck my mushroom. So I'm making sure that I tuck the bottom behind those grass blades, and I love that big grass blade on top kind of overlapping the mushroom. For my snail, I am using some foam squares so it can be popped up off the background for some dimension. And then I also have these ferns that I cut using the Happy Mushrooms die set. I cut this from some rainforest cardstock, and I'm trimming the large one down so it will fit nicely behind my little snail. And then I also have that little fern that I will also tuck behind the back side of my snail. Now for the sentiment, Yainea used the sentiment Sorry I'm Late from Gleeful Gardens, but I thought I would change it up a little bit and use the one that says I love you so much because this is my favorite sentiment from this stamp set. I've stamped this on some patterned paper from the Rainbow Ever After Petite paper pack. It's that really pale pink with the little stripes. And I'm just trimming this down into a strip. I stamped my sentiment in some walnut ink so it matches the brown tones that are in this card. I did mark with a pencil how wide this needed to be, and I'm just trimming this so it's 4 1/4 so it matches the width of my card. And then because this has that cute little heart in this stamp sentiment, I have to color this in red to match the mushroom in the little scene below. Now I've added some foam squares all over to the back of this strip, and I will just layer this up above my cute little images. And then here is that finished card inspired by Yainea. Thank you so much, Yainea, for allowing us to make your card today. Now let's take a look at some examples from the design team. Elise created this super cute card with 3 little flowers. I love the striped pots, and it's perfect for that big sentiment. Elena created this cute little scene. I just love that garden snail paired with those beautiful mushrooms, and I love her coloring on all the pieces. Maureen created this really fun reveal wheel card, and when you spin the wheel, the face in the flower changes. How cute is this card by Grace? I love how she used the elements from Special Delivery to make this snail so very special. And then this card by Callie is so cute. I love that little snail paired with the delightful daisy. I think it's a perfect pairing. This card by Megan is so sweet. I love the coloring and I love that little scene framed up on that gingham paper. And then Grace created this really fun magic color changer card where you pull the panel and those flowers have color, and I just think that is so fun. This card by Audrey is so cute. I love how she incorporated the flower with other flowers to create a really fun mason jar bouquet. And then this card by Letitia is so colorful. I love that flower background, and look at those little eyelashes on the snail. How cute. Here is Yainea's card that inspired the card that we created today, and I love using that craft paper to outline the snail. And then here are Audrey's really fun tags that we recreated today as well, and I just love those fun googly eyes. And then here is the other happy potted flower card we made today. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day. Bye.